so nice. It's so nice. It was necessary. It was like I was starting to really, it was grinding away. And it was not fun. But like the other one was just grinding away on Overwatch and Heroes and stuff like that. I love this. This new one feels like it's just smooth as silk. It's so awesome. And I got it from Micro Center, which is just like their own in-house brand for Micro Center, which is there's only certain places in the country that have them, and Minneapolis happens to have one. So you can get some pretty darn good savings on a computer at Micro Center. So yeah, so I was pretty happy with that. It was good though. So this is the first time that I will have done Tauren Think Tank on a computer that is not the previous. Do I have an echo? Where's Bim says I have an echo. All right, let's see. Let's find out. Let me listen to it for just 1 second, guys. Because I'm trying to figure all this out. It's a reverb? Okay, 1 sec. Test 1 2. Oh yeah, I hear it. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what it is. Let's see if that is better. See if that fixes it. Let's see if that is better. Yes, it is better. I fixed it. Okay, so now chat room, tell me. Hang on a second. Okay, so tell me if you can hear the sounder.
This podcast is a part of the Signals Media.
Hear the sounder.
This podcast.
Yes, they can hear that. Good. Okay, we figured it out. There's a weird little config thing that I have to do in order for you guys to hear the sounders, for me to hear the sounders, and Marconin to hear the sounders, because it's got to go out to me, to you, and to Skype. So I fixed it.
It just ping pongs around. Just
it's like this. To you. It's all of these things that have to be done. So yay.
Yay!
Okay, cool.
And I have the Stormwind Sky Chaser.
You're so
I'm writing
excited.
it right now. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. It's so good. I love it.
Laylee's here. Hi, Laylee.
Yeah, I put myself on mute while she was doing all of that. That way, that way she could concentrate on it.
I'm just gonna listen to the stream for a second, make sure our levels sound good.
That way,
yeah.
Okie doke. That way she couldn't. I'm chasing around another Sky Chaser.
Yeah, he's a little hot. Let me fix that.
Thank you.
You're hot.
So hot.
Oh, so
oh my
hot.
gosh.
Oh my god. Let's try this.
It's so awesome.
Say something for me again.
Something for you again.
This.
It's
testing,
so awesome.
testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Say something for me again.
Are you ready to rock?
Something for you again.
God.
I think that's better.
Let's make some noise.
Okay, chat room. How's the balance between Marconin and I on the stream?
There must be balance if you wish to find true enlightenment. They really They really should put some of Zenyatta's quotes into WoW. Kind of
Really
like
should put some of
how
the some of
Terralian
Zenyatta's quotes. Says, "I fight for home and family." When you talk to him, sometimes I'm like, "That's a monk saying." Aw, thank you, MacGyver. Even though you didn't have to clarify yourself, buddy. Aw, thank you, MacGyver. Even though you didn't have to clarify yourself, buddy.
I think I turned you down just a little too much there. Hang on a second.
Aw,
Aww.
let's split the difference.
I know, right? I think it's too much. It's too much.
it has been a long day.
A long day indeed.
Oh, my legs are killing me. I spent six between 6
my
and
legs are
7
killing
hours
me.
I spent
On the ladder today.
12 feet in the air.
Oh, it sucks,
Six
man.
or six,
Ugh,
between
almost
6 and
not
7
killing
hours.
me.
I
I
spent
almost
on
0
the
feet
ladder
on the air.
today.
Very quickly.
12 feet in the air.
Oh, it sucks,
Six
man.
or
I told
six-
Jules about that before we started streaming.
Okay, I think we're balanced pretty well. What do you think, chat room? Marconin, sing a little bit.
Sing, sing, sing. Sing, 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 sing. Because Jules told me to sing. I'm going to sing some songs right here.
You're going to hear the echo because I was
da.
listening to it. I was listening to us both, and now you will hear me listening to ourselves. That's why. That's why there was an echo there. Because I wanted to hear how the stream sounded, so you're going to hear stuff from my computer, and then it
Yay.
won't. So, yeah, sorry about that. But I
First
wanted to
you
hear
will,
the
then you
levels. Definitely better. Sweet.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're in good shape. All right. So we've already tested a sounder. Let's test you guys with a ready check. How did that sound?
Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah. Are they ready to pull?
I don't know. Are they?
I don't know. I don't know.
Got a lot of ones over here.
Yeah, no kidding. It feels so weird to be in this setup. I'm not used to it yet. So I'm a little
Also, it's the rare hump day triple T.
the rare hump day triple T, which also feels weird.
Yep.
So so here's the funny thing. We're doing the show today because I'm going to New Jersey tomorrow for a long weekend. And as it turns out, I need to bring podcast gear with me because I will need to be on Convert to Raid tomorrow night because that show had to get bumped for scheduling too.
Uh-oh.
And we have to record an episode this week because we have a contractual obligation to do advertising. So there has to be a show this week. So I ran over to Pat's house this afternoon to go pick up a portable microphone and cord and desk stand so that I can record the show from New Jersey at 11 p.m. Eastern tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
Because no one else can do it. But it's gonna be me, and it's gonna be Jocelyn, and it's gonna be Pat. So it's gonna be a good show.
Well, sweet.
I know.
Look forward to that.
So on top of everything else, I'm like, I need to bring podcast gear too. Anyway, that's what's going on for this week, and that's so we're moving this show out of the way, but then I still have to bring gear with me too. But Marconi gets tomorrow night off.
I do.
You do.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I may go raid on Pokemon Go some more. We had the very first Mewtwo exclusive raid passes get handed out in Little Rock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because if you want to fight Mewtwo, you have to have won a raid, beaten a raid boss at that specific gym within a certain amount of time. We're thinking it's at least a week. And if you did, there is a random chance, cap of 100 people, that you will get the invitation. And the invitations were sent out at like midnight last night, and the raid is tomorrow night between 6 and 7. And it's outside of a mall at a Sprint store. And so I was like, hey, if I get off work in time, I'm just going to go look at all the 100 people, if they all go. then they get to battle Mewtwo, hopefully beat him,
Yeah.
and then get a chance at catching him. So I'm like, man, I really want him. I really want one. So we're going after work. We go to like 1 or 2 different gyms all over the city. So hopefully we can luck out and get in. So
I forgot to tweet. Hang on a second here.
we'll see. We'll see how it
Whoopsie!
goes.
I forgot to tweet.
Oh, you didn't tweet the dates.
I didn't.
You're right. I don't see it there.
There it is. Shenanigans. Okay. All right. Now that we have already checked the chat room like 10,000 years ago,
Yeah.
let's do a show. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. We are on episode 244. Episode 244. Okay. Tauren Think Tank. Tauren Think Tank, episode 244, records in 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to Tauren Think Tank, the podcast about the Blizzard gamer behind the keyboard.
It's episode 244 of Tauren Think Tank. Today is Wednesday, September 13th. What? It's 8:12 in the PM. Why in the world are you recording on Wednesday, Tauren Think Tank? Well, we'll tell you in a minute. My name is Jules. I'm a little discombobulated tonight, but it will be fine. It will be fine. I promise. And with me, as always, is the illustrious ladder-climbing guru himself, Marconin.
I was almost not a ladder climbing guru. I was almost a ladder falling off of guru. But
Ooh,
yes.
really? Ooh.
Yeah. Yep. I almost tested if gravity really worked in a very fast manner. But luckily I was able to save myself. All those years of marching band balance have finally paid off.
You know, marching band does give you a lot of balance, doesn't it?
I haven't fallen. I'm like a weeble. I wobble, but I don't fall down. I haven't fallen down in like 20 years.
That I cannot say for myself. But I also live in a very much icier climate than you, so
This is true. I have
have
slipped on ice, but I haven't just flat out fallen in a long time.
Oh, I have. Oh, as Bim says, you've got balance spec.
Sorry, little known fact, I'm also a druid balance spec. Yep. You heard it here, folks.
So why are we here on a Wednesday? Well, here's
Hump
the deal.
day.
Wednesday, hump day. I am going to New Jersey tomorrow to visit Mom and Papa Jules. And so we figured we would get a show recorded and posted a little early so that it would be in your feeds for you. So there you go. But I also, the reason that, so that's a little bit of a discombobulation because my schedule was all like, blah, I don't know where I am. And I'm packing. And I'm getting ready for everything else. And I rearranged my office again because I got a brand new computer and it was time, the brand new gaming computer. And I was like, you know what? It is time for me to consolidate and put everything into one computer because that was part of the goal of why I was getting this computer as well as getting it to game on. So it was moving the microphone, moving the computer, which is a Mac, reconfiguring all the cables, getting everything configured internally, getting it so that you can hear that soundboard that you just heard at the top of the show. And I did that all today as well because I was a procrastinating mess. and then packing. And then, so yeah, I just like, I can tell you with 100% certainty that I inflicted this upon myself, like 85% of it, of my discombobulation.
That's always the best kind of discombobulatedness.
Inflicted upon yourself.
It's self-inflicted discombobulated. Boy, that's a show title if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, so chat room, your show title tracking begins now.
Easy. I just gave you one.
You just, good Lord. I don't know if
Done.
that's going to fit in the title bar, but we'll see.
I know.
So
you can go to bed, Draven. I got this.
Laylee just asked, was it worth it? Do you like the new setup? I do. I do like having everything in. So I had 3 computers working in here, and now I just need 2, which is a fantastic. Ooh, are you okay?
Sorry. Yeah.
So it's awesome. Like, I'm really excited, but Draven's like, I'm out. Good night. Yeah, as Marconin called your name. Yeah, it's just a little bit like everything is weird and not quite comfortable yet. So I'm trying to get there, trying to find it. But, and then of course, packing to go away for the weekend and all the things you got to do just to get yourself ready and get the house ready and all that stuff. So, I'm going to do my best to knuckle down and get my brain into place and go from there. But we'll start with Marconin and what you've been up to these last 6 days.
Wow, 6 days. Wow. Usually that's not very much of a difference, but I had a pretty good weekend. I went to the Arkansas Comic-Con. I needed one more con in me before BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Wasn't quite ready. And I went there with my sister and my nephew. He's just turned 11, so this was like the tail end of his birthday celebration week thing. So she wanted to take him, and I wanted to go. I wanted to take him too because I want him to embrace all the nerdy things that are out there too. He likes Star Wars. That was the main thing he liked. There was a guy dressed up as Darth Vader walking around, and he hid. He would hide behind me, or he'd like, let's go this way, and would walk away.
Out!
He was a little scared of the guy that was Darth Vader. But it was, and the stormtroopers too. There were a few stormtroopers. The 501st, the 501 fleet, I think is what they are.
Yep.
They're like the national. Their local chapter was there too, and there were a couple people in Star Trek uniforms, and there's a lot of cosplaying going on. But 3 of the biggest things that I associated with growing up were there in some form or fashion. Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So Ernie Hudson, who played Winston Zedmore, was there. Of course, he's been on shows like Oz and a whole bunch of list of other movies and TV shows. But of course, most people know him from That's a Big Twinkie.
Yes.
That's amazing. As long as there's a paycheck involved, I'll believe whatever you say. That kind of thing. And so it was really nice to get to meet him. I got a picture with him. I got to sit in the DeLorean for the first time in my life, so I can die happy now. Because, yes, a guy who decked out his DeLorean like in Back to the Future, he drives it to conventions and such, and I get to sit in it and got my picture with it, which was really cool. They're a lot lower to the ground than I imagined. I knew they were low to the ground. I didn't know they were that low to the ground. It's like you unfold a napkin on concrete and sit, and then there you go. You are in a DeLorean. Same experience. It was so low to the ground, and when I got in, he was like, "Make sure when you leave, you don't like hold on to because when you open a DeLorean, it opens part of the roof too.
Yeah.
So in front of that, it's just the window with like a little metal frame around it. Mm-hmm. And he said that the window got cracked because people would pull on it when they try to get out of the car.
Yeah, because they need some leverage.
Yeah, I know, and I was very aware of that when I was getting out, and I tried to look around for a place to kind of hold on to, and I got out because it's so low to the ground, and he was just like, "Do you need help up?" Because most people need help getting out of that thing, because I'm so nervous to mess it up. So of course he helps me up, and it's cool to get a picture with it, and the highlight for me was getting to meet 3 members of the original cast of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I got to meet Austin St. John, who played Jason the Red Ranger, Walter Jones, who played Zack the Black Ranger, and David J. Fielding, who plays Zordon. So I got to meet all 3 of them, got all 3 of their autographs. Right behind me, you can't really see it, but I got Funko figures of the Red and Black Ranger autographed.
That's great.
And so... yeah, and I got to talk to all 3 of them. They were all of them were very nice. Everyone I met with there was nice. I got to have a nice conversation even about Funkos with Austin St. John for a minute, because he has like Red Ranger stuff that he sells on his website, and so we got to talking about the business and Funko Pops and all that stuff. So it was really cool. Got to really take a few minutes with them, and it was great. I got to relate just how much I appreciate, even though they were a small cog in the huge machine that is entertainment. When I was 10 years old, my dad was in a car accident, and this was in '93. Mm-hmm. And he was in a car accident in March. Was in a coma for a month, had to go through a lot of rehabilitation. So that summer, in order to kind of alleviate the pressure of having an 8 and a 10-year-old run around the house, my parents decided that I'd go shack up with my aunt and uncle and cousins in South Dakota for the summer.
Right.
And it was there that I first saw Power Rangers. And I told them, like, at that one point in my life where things were kind of rough because, my dad almost died. And that was like the first big traumatic shock to the immediate family that I really appreciated, him and the show being there. And of course, Austin St. John was a paramedic after Power Rangers for like 12, 15 years. And he was like, yeah, I was in paramedics and I've pulled a fair number of dads out of trucks. So I know how scary that is, but I'm glad he made it through. He was very nice about it. And they were all great. And they enjoyed their time in Arkansas. I was discussing local breweries with him and he was like, yeah, everybody said that one's really good. And I said, yes, go. Whenever this is done, you can have dinner. Go have a beer over there with them. And I think they really enjoyed their time there. And it was really great to just sit and just take a few minutes with people who I'd looked up to for 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
And it was just all around. We weren't there very long, but it was really good. It was really good to kind of, all those callbacks to when I was little. It was great. It was just really cool to see that. And just talk to vendors and all that stuff. It was great. That's the major highlight of the last 6 days for me, was going to the Arkansas Comic-Con. So now I am jazzed. It's less than 2 months until BlizzCon, and another cool thing happened. I raided on Monday night, and we downed Kill Jaden for the very first time on normal as a group. So yeah, I finally got to. I killed him on LFR before, but we did the whole raid in like an hour and a half. It was wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really glad to have that one cleared and get a little bit of extra gear and all that stuff. Loving Argus still. Mm-hmm. I'm on the mount hunt almost every day, hunting for all those like 30 mounts that are out there. I have only like 2 of them, so I don't know if I'm ever going to see sunlight other than when I'm at work, because then I just gotta go in and get those mounts. I just have to.
Gotta get them all.
Yep, gotta catch them all.
That's right.
But yeah, that's been the main, I talk about a lot, but man, it was so much fun. This year's been really good so far. I've had great cons to go to all year. Of course, Nerdtacular and PAX South. Got to see the Eclipse.
Yep.
Now Arkansas Comic-Con. We're going to close it out with BlizzCon again. And I can't wait.
The BlizzCon hype is real too, because today
Especially
they had
today.
They had the virtual ticket kickoff, and it was just like, oh my gosh, it's coming. It's so exciting to like have it be so close, and there, it's like 50 some odd days to BlizzCon, and all my brain can keep saying is, I'm not ready for that yet. I still have so much to do for the party.
I'm still on cooldown.
Oh, so much to do still.
I know.
But it's getting there. It's slowly getting there. It's just that there's that mixed feeling every single time with the excitement. Oh my gosh, BlizzCon. And then, oh no, I'm not ready yet. When are we going to get all this stuff done? And that's pretty much every day. So, yeah, goodness gracious. It's going to be a crazy bunch of weeks coming up. Crazy bunch of weeks. I forgot to mention this last week, and I forgot to put it in the show notes, but I'll say it now. We're having another Minnesota little mini meetup, but this time it's going to be at the Minnesota Renfest. And because one of the guildies in Convert to Raid, Silverbolt, she is coming from the Illinois, Chicago area, and she's coming up to Renfest. She has an amazing dragon cosplay that she wears to Renaissance festivals, and it's incredible. She most likely is bringing this to BlizzCon as well.
Awesome.
So she's coming to Renfest, and she's going to be here on the weekend of September 30th, and that's the day we're going. And so if there's people out there who are interested in, we actually started putting together a mailing list for Minnesota specific meetups. You can always send an email to the show, and I can send you a link to the mailing list to get added to it. It's totally like opt-in type of thing. But yeah, there's going to be that whole weekend. We're going to be like Friday night, there's dinner, and Silverbolt is kind of putting that together.
Sweet.
And yeah, I'm super excited. And so if you're in the Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Iowa, North Dakota area and you want to make a weekend out of it and go to the Renfest, there you go. So there's that, and that's coming up, and then all the things, I got the New Jersey trip coming up. We're going to this. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure the details of this, but on Saturday I'm going to this this luncheon with relatives of the family that none of my mom, my dad, haven't met them. They're like a side of the family or relatives within the family that nobody has met, and they've never met us.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, we're going to this thing and I'm like, is there anybody besides you guys that I'm going to know? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm, possibly your uncle and, my dad's brother and, that kind of thing. And I'm like, oh good, at least there'll be people that I will be familiar with. But it was like, but the introvert side of me goes, no. Strange people and I don't know. Okay. So it should be an interesting. I might come out of that with interesting stories. We'll see.
Yeah. You do what? You talk on the internet for a job? What? Yeah.
That's the thing, Marconin.
Yeah.
I literally was thinking about, when they ask me the inevitable question of what do you do for a living? What's my elevator pitch, basically? What do I say? And I still to this day, I still haven't really gotten a really good, succinct way of saying I'm a podcaster, content creator. I run a major community in World of Warcraft and plan a huge event. And we also run a podcasting instructional business. I mean, it's I don't know what to say.
And then you also make jewelry too.
And I make jewelry. Yeah. Well, I think I'm actually probably going to wear the chainmail scarf that I made.
There you go.
Because then at least it's a conversation starter. You know what? I'm I'm strategically thinking of this. I'll wear the chainmail scarf. It's an easy way to break open the conversation, break the ice, that kind of thing. I'll wear that. And then I can talk about, that I do make jewelry and I can show pictures, and then it's I guess. But yeah, it's the whole question of you get paid to do that. You have no idea what I do, so.
Yes, I do.
Welcome to the awkwardness of trying to explain what you do for a living. Oh, at least my life isn't boring, that's for sure.
Exactly. Yep, you can't say that.
That's right. What else? I had a really awesome session with Nicole and Tim from Heroes of Fitness this past weekend. Learned some new exercises and that kind of thing. And you're talking about how you almost fell off a ladder. I almost fell on my face trying to do an exercise for balance, and it didn't go so well. And I was like, oh gosh. We're working on the balance thing. It's at least you can laugh at yourself. But man, that would have been. I almost fell into a wall. That would have been horrible.
Oof.
With a bookshelf, that kind of thing.
Oh,
I was like, no. Oh, that would have been awful and embarrassing. Okay. Biff just says Jules is not balance spec. That is absolutely true. 100% absolutely true.
You wouldn't hurt for very long if you're resto though.
I guess.
Feel yourself.
I wish I could do that. That'd be awesome. Okay. Yeah. Babbly Jules is babbly, so we're going to move on and get into our discussion topic for the week. I don't think we have any other special announcement. Oh, we do have a special announcement. Next week's show is going to be guests. I forgot.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Okay, sorry, my brain. Next week's show. We will have, this is the first time that Tauren Think Tank will have 5 total people on the show. We will have 3 guests plus Marconin and I. And our guests this coming week are going to be Dr. Holiday Bean, and you've met her several times on the show before. Mm-hmm. And also from the Both Sides Now podcast will be Dr. Shirley and Kelly White. And Kelly is Holiday's mom. Kelly
yeah.
is a medium, a spiritual medium, and Dr. Shirley is a psychologist. This show is going to be awesome. I can't wait for this one. It's just going to be different and fun, and these ladies are fantastic and witty and funny, and I'm just like, Marconin is going to be like, where am I?
Well, no, this is really cool. I'm very anxious to see what goes on, and like, does she do readings through the internet?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And so if you want her to read you, she will.
Yeah.
And she will read me too. And it's just going to be, and we're going to talk about topics from a spiritual and psychological perspective. It's going to be so cool. I cannot wait. These ladies, I admire them so much. I've, of course, met Holiday. I've spoken to Kelly before. This is my first time going to meet Dr. Shirley, and she's fantastic. If you would like to know more about them, go on to Google and look up Both Sides Now TV. They're on the UBN radio network, and you can find out more about their show there. Okay.
I'm excited.
I am too. I can't wait for this show. I've been waiting for this. Oh, I forgot
And then one more thing.
The last thing I know there was another announcement. We also confirmed another guest for October. And I'm really like, if I was excited about this one coming up next week, I'm also just as excited as this one. We have Wendy Dunford coming on from the Morning Stream's Therapy Thursday. If you listen to the Morning Stream with Scott Johnson and Brian Ibbett, Scott's sister Wendy comes on and does Therapy Thursday. She's fantastic. She has agreed to come on the show with us. We were recording on a Monday afternoon because she lives in Sweden. So it's going to be a very special show. I cannot wait for you guys to hear Wendy. She's fantastic. I admire her greatly. And Marconin does too. Like, she's just great. So working on all these guests.
So many good guests coming up. That's so awesome.
Yes. And okay, you have to remind me too. The end of the show, I have an idea for another one that I need to talk to you about. Anyway, let's get into this.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. Okay,
super secret.
We're gonna do this discussion topic eventually, so let's just do it right now.
Let's kick around some ideas, not gnomes.
That poor gnome.
Every time.
Okay, guys. The topic this week was inspired by last week's letter, kind of an offshoot of that. And I texted Marconin and I said, what do you think of this discussion? And he said, sure. And the discussion topic is about guilt.
Guilty.
Guilty. You have been pronounced guilty. Yeah, because the topic last week was talking about a lot of the tone of this, and so I figured it would be a good jumping off point to talk about the subject of guilt and how it impacts our lives every day, because it does. I mean, there's a rare person that I meet that doesn't have some kind of guilt over something at some point during their day. And so I thought it would be good to talk about it. Did some reading, did some research, did some thinking, and I think, so when Marconin texted me back, he's like, well, where do you want to go with this? And so my first inclination is to start to talk about it from a perspective of realness, which is to say, what do we feel guilty about on a daily basis? Like, what's the guilt that you carry around, whether it be small, medium, large, or extra large?
My shackles are heavy, as is my burden. Well, it comes in all shapes and sizes. It depends on the day of the week sometimes. But lately for me, it's been guilty that I'm not working out as much. I'm paying for this not stupid, but this wonderful membership at a 24-hour fitness center, and I'm not using it. I'm farming mounts on WoW, and I feel guilty because it's it doesn't help my health any. I mean, I'm doing all right. Like one thing I noticed about that picture with me and Ernie Hudson was I don't look as fat as I think I am in that picture, which is awesome.
Yep.
Because that was my number one fear. I was like, I'm gonna look like Stay Puft right next to Winston Zedmore. Okay, it's just gonna be like huge balloon man right next to this guy. But luckily not. So that made me feel less guilty.
Yeah.
But still guilty enough that I want to try. Now, if I was going to work out today after work, but when I got off work, I came here and hopped in front of this microphone because that's how long my day was.
Right.
So I don't feel so guilty because I worked out a lot at work. It's very stressful or very physical.
Right.
Demanding. But most of the time my guilt is about feeling guilty that I'm still not motivating myself enough to go to the gym and actually put the work in and put the time in.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes from, usually I go from a steady stream of guilt to a large chunk of self-loathing and self-hate and self-deprivation. I'm pretty good at that. Happens a lot. If I get into a really big depressive spell and a guilt spell, it just comes into like a lot of self-loathing. And then I just, you're your own worst critic. Well, I am that times 10. And gets pretty bad from time to time. Not recently, thankfully, because that sucks. But
yeah, it does suck, and but it's having that guilt over not doing something, or something that, I mean, in the reading that I had done, and it was interesting. I found this link on Psychology Today, and it was a blog about the 5 types of guilt. And the number one of them was the guilt for something that you did. Mm-hmm. And so in that case, it's
well, that's the first one you think of when you say, guilt. That's usually the first thing that comes to mind, right? You did something and you feel guilty for it, because that's usually what's communicated when we talk about guilt.
Yeah. And so 5 types of it was kind of eye-opening to me. Like, okay, well, because the definition of guilt, in terms of the cognitive definition of guilt, is an emotion that people experience because they're convinced that they've caused harm. And so, when I hear the connotation, or think of the connotation of guilt, I think about, I feel guilty because that's the, that's the like the
right
lead
there.
up, right? Yeah. So for me, so this came out of my conversation with Nicole and Tim, my trainers, this week. And, we had this long conversation. They asked me how my sleep has been. And my sleep has been horrific. I'm so stressed out. And when I get stressed out, my brain... So here's the normal cycle. I will fall asleep. I'll be like dead tired in the evening. I've got the adrenaline pumping right now, but normally if I'm not doing a show, right now is when the time is, I would be just like, dead tired. And then wanting to go to sleep. And so I usually make it till about 10:30, and then I'm just out. And I wake up at 2 or 3, and I am wide awake. And I can't sleep, and I'm trying, and I'm, trying so hard to sleep. And I'm just like, it's so frustrating. And then I go and get up, and then cat wants to be fed, and, whatever. So they asked me.
They're up at night.
They're up anyway. Sometimes they're the one that comes and kind of like pokes at me to wake me up to come feed them. So, I'm getting there to the guilt part. And so they asked me how my sleep was, and I said, it's really been crappy. And they were just like, sometimes you just need to take a break. If you are, because I said, sometimes I get so tired, especially like in mid-afternoon, I just want to take a nap. Like, I just want like a half an hour just to sleep, and then I'll be better and I'll be functional. But I feel guilty for even thinking that I should take a nap during work hours. Even though I work from home and I work weird hours, I work in the morning, I work at night, I work till late at night sometimes, I still feel guilty for taking a nap at 3:00 in the afternoon. And they literally said to me, you have to listen to your body. We're giving you permission to take a nap, but my brain is going, I feel like I'm guilty. I'm shirking my responsibilities, and this is when I'm supposed to be working, and if I were in an office, this would never fly. And it's like, oh.
Well, people take a 30-minute lunch or an hour lunch, right?
Yeah.
Or they take breaks. Like, consider that 30-minute nap your break.
True, but
it's your work break.
It could be, and that's the thing, is that it's that the guilt factor is so, like,
yeah,
I will feel so guilty about taking a nap at 3:00 that I won't do it, or I would lay down and be like, and then I can't sleep. So, so I have this guilt, like I'm shirking my responsibility, or if someone needed to get in touch with me during my normal working hours and I wasn't there, I would feel guilty for letting them down. Those are like, that's how my brain would yell at me. And part of why this conversation is even happening tonight, because it was a real revelation to me. Like, you know what, Jules? You've been working normal hours for a good portion of your working life, and now you don't. Now you have an untraditional schedule, so you should have the ability to have an untraditional, like, expectation of when you do stuff,
Yeah.
it's so hard to break that. It's so hard to break that.
Just, in some parts of the world, they take a siesta. They take a little
nap.
nap.
That's what they said. They're like, yeah,
you need to have a siesta.
Right.
That's all it is.
So, so the whole thing about not feeling guilty for taking a nap when your body really needs to recover, because they were like, you're not sleeping well. You're working out a lot. And your body needs recovery, and if it's asking for recovery at a certain time, and you can squeeze that little time out of your day to take it when your body is asking for it, then do it. And it was like this weird, like, but no, I can't. That's what happened to my brain. And so this evening, I got done with stuff, and it was like 5:30, and I'm like, you know what? I am going to go lay down for a little bit just to see if I can sleep. And I think I might have slept a little bit. I don't know. But my insomnia wasn't too bad last night. So guilt for something that I did or would do is just like, ugh. So that's just one of the many things that I feel guilty about. So, as an example. But let's talk about the 5 types of guilt in this. Obviously, you and I mentioned the guilt for something that you did.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is guilt for something you didn't do but want to. And that is like, if you're thinking about committing an act where you deviate from your own moral code or engage in behavior that's honest or dishonest or unfaithful or illegal, like, you feel guilty for, if you were to be someone who was not happy in your relationship and you were daydreaming about another person outside your marriage, and you feel guilty for even thinking those thoughts, it's like,
or if you think about like committing a crime, even like you're like, I could totally steal that. No one would know.
Exactly.
No one would know.
Exactly.
There's no cameras, there's nothing. I know exactly how I could do it, and I could do it. But then you start to feel guilty about that.
Am I a terrible person because I just thought that? That I even thought that could be okay, or So there's that. That's number 2. Number 3 is guilt for something you think you did, not that you did, but that you think you did.
Yeah. I feel this one sometimes too.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
If you think you did something wrong, you can experience almost as much guilt as if you actually committed the act, or even more. One fairly typical cognitive source of guilt is the magical belief that you can jinx people by thinking about them in a negative or hurtful way. Perhaps you've wished that romantic rival would experience some evil twist of fate. Should that evil twist of fate come to pass, you may at some level believe that it was due to your own vengeful wish.
To which I would reply, I now have superpowers? What is this?
Yeah, and it can get to the point where you're like, you've convinced yourself that you actually did something wrong, even though logically you know that you did not.
Mm-hmm.
The number 4 reason for guilt is guilt that you didn't do enough to help someone. Perhaps you have a friend who is very ill or is caring for an ill relative. You've given hours of your free time to help that person, but now you have other obligations that you absolutely must fulfill. Or perhaps your neighbors suffered a tragic loss, such as the death of a relative or a fire that destroyed their home. You've offered days and weeks of your free time, but again, you find that you can't continue to do so. The guilt now starts to get to you, and you desperately try to figure out ways to help them, despite the toll it's taking on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So it's that caregiver's guilt that happens for a lot of people who are caring for a loved one with a long-term illness. There's that one too. So that's number 4. And number 5 is guilt that you're doing better than someone else. And this is where survivor's guilt comes from. So if you were in a situation where you were in a car accident where someone passed away and you did not, or something very tragic, or it can apply to people who live as it applies to people who live when others have died, yes, but also it also applies to characteristics for those who make a better life from themselves. So better life than their family and friends. If like a first generation college student, for example, often feels torn by conflicting emotions about their success in school, where their brothers and sisters or their parents never had that opportunity. And sometimes they can go as far as to self-sabotage because of that level of guilt. Mm-hmm. So, an interesting perspective, like when you think about what is guilt and why is there, more, or how can there be just more than just the one where, I feel guilty because I didn't go to the gym, or I feel guilty because I don't want to take care of myself like I should. So of course the next question comes to mind is, what do you do how do you treat this? How do you treat this stuff? I mean, the one that you and I called out is probably one of the more common ones. And it's for dealing with that guilt, it's accepting the fact that it happened. And then apologizing to the person or persons that you've harmed. So maybe you've done something that you've hurt someone else, and you accept responsibility for it. But if it's you, then you have to apologize to yourself.
That's the hardest person to forgive.
Well,
is yourself.
Think about that from the perspective 1 second about you not going to the gym. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, the things that go through your head is you're not motivated, you're lazy, you're just a slug. All the things that your brain is telling you in there too. How do you apologize to yourself?
I don't know, but if you figure out, please tell me so I can start doing it.
The thing about it, so I'm going to fall back on one of my favorite quotes or kind of the theories, I guess, from Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And it says that there are only 2 emotions. Everything or not 2 emotions. There's only basically it's 2 core emotions. And that is love and fear. And you cannot exist in both at the same time. So, let me pull up her quote really quick. Elizabeth, because I'll read this. Kubler-Ross. Love and fear. I gotta pull this up because I know it's a good.
It's a good way to encompass everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
I have to find it too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, that does make sense because you've got all of the positive kind of, I guess the way that I'm thinking is like two sides of the coin. You know, all of the positive emotions can all boil down to love of one form or another. And then all of the negative can boil down to fear. So you've got like even hate
Right.
sometimes can be boiled down to I'm afraid of, I hate this person because I'm afraid of what they might do, or I'm afraid of what might happen, or I have this fear. So in order to prevent that, I'm going to keep them at a distance with hate or with all that kind of, kind of a barrier stuff. And then on the other side, you've got love, which is it pulls things towards you in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Fear pushes away, and love will pull it towards you.
I have the quote here, and it says from
Cool.
Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. If you've heard her name before, you may have heard it related to On Death and Dying. She is the one that has that established the definitions of the phases of grieving. But she has lots of work out there, and this one is the specifics of love and fear. And she says there are only two emotions, love and fear. All positive emotions come from love. All negative emotions come from fear. From love flows happiness, contentment, peace, and joy. From fear comes anger, hate, anxiety, and guilt. It's true that there are only two primary emotions, love and fear, but it's more accurate to say that there is only love or fear, for we cannot feel these two emotions together at exactly the same time. They're opposites. If we're in fear, we are not in a place of love. When we are in a place of love, we cannot be in a place of fear. So when you think about it from the perspective of that quote and say, why do I feel guilty? Fear.
Yeah. I'm afraid I won't break the cycle of being overweight and unhealthy.
Right.
I'm afraid eventually that I'll go to the doctor and he'll say you have diabetes or you have something else. I'm afraid of that.
Yep.
So yeah, I can trace it back to fear. Absolutely.
Yeah. And mine absolutely fear. I'm afraid that I'm going to let someone down. I'm afraid that something won't get done, and I will feel horrible that someone would be let down by me. If I'm going to take a nap because I needed to get some rest. Is it irrational? Probably, but it's how it's all stemming from a place of fear. And so thinking about it from that line, if you can say to yourself, what am I afraid of when you say I feel guilty? What am I afraid of? You just listed them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the opportunity to figure out how to avoid committing the same act in the future to yourself by saying, well, what am I going to do about those fears that I am dealing with?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just food for thought. I mean, it doesn't encompass everybody's situation, everybody's guilt. Laylee asked in the chat room, what about feeling guilty because you feel like you're never doing your best? That's one I deal with constantly. Well, I do think that falls under guilt of something you did or didn't do.
Yeah, I feel that one from time to time because I thought I'd be in a different place career-wise at this point, but then I have to remind myself that I love what I do and I get to do this at least once a week. So I am using that little piece of paper I earned.
Yeah.
So I'm it's not where I thought it would be, but would I be as happy as I am now if I was in that? Because I have friends that have gone into broadcasting and they left because they didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
When I talked to David Fielding, Zordon, he does not like Hollywood. He didn't get to interact with the crew at all on that show. Mm-hmm. He did like the green screen floating head once for a few minutes, and then they just reused the footage. So he'd come in for a few minutes, do voice work, and then he had two other part-time jobs at that time, and he was struggling, and he didn't like it so much that he left Hollywood over it.
Wow.
And he felt very underappreciated and undervalued there. He was very frank with me when I talked because I asked him, and it was like the celebrity wall was gone and he was just talking to me. That's why he was one of my favorite ones to talk to, because we absolutely were just two people talking.
And he was real and he was honest.
And I had a friend that I've known in growing up from school, and she graduated with broadcasting. She went to news. She was on a local news station, and she left after she had to cover the story of a couple of local boys from our hometown drowned in a lake. Mm-hmm. And she was good family friends with their family, and the program director made her go down there, and she had to interview the grieving mother, who's a family friend, in front of a camera with a microphone in her face. And she said that moment, she can't do it. I cannot do this anymore. Yeah. I can't be that person sticking something in somebody's face when they're going through the worst moments of their life, mm-hmm. and asking those questions. And I try to think about, would I really be happy doing those things that I set out that I was going to do? When I think and I feel guilty about that, I'm not using my full potential, that I'm not where I thought I would be. But then I have to remind myself of all the good things that I've got now, because I am where I am now.
Right.
I get to talk to you guys once a week. I get to see Jules numerous times a week. I get to go to California once a year. Yeah. I had a traveling job where I got to see almost all the U.S. It's a rough, winding, crooked road that I've gone down. And yeah, it's not where I wanted to be originally, but I'm here now and I'm enjoying myself and I'm enjoying life and I'm enjoying all this stuff. So if I think about it in the positive sense, it overrides the sense of guilt. And it happens every once in a while for me that I feel this guilt. And then I just have to remind myself, I'm not really apologizing, but I'm explaining to myself why I'm not where I thought I would be, why I'm here. Yeah, I could have changed some decisions. I could have done things differently. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody. I'm somebody now. I'm somebody right here right now, just like all of you out there are.
Of course you are.
And I just have to remind myself of that.
Two things about that. Number one is we are always a work in progress.
Yep.
Where we are right now is not where we're going to be in 5 years. It's just not. I mean, things are going to change because that is the rules of law in living in as a human. Like, it's just like nothing stays the same. So for a long period of time, like, here you're laughing.
I'm laughing because you reminded me of something Mitch Hedberg said in one of his stand-up routines. He went to an interview, and one of the questions that the interviewer asked him was like, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And he replied, "Celebrating the 5th year anniversary of you asking me this question." So
exactly.
That it reminded me of that, so that's why I was chuckling.
That's awesome. So there's that part. And, who are you answering to when it comes to expectations of that? Who are you answering? And because it's not just you. It's, where you formed those thoughts of expectations of your potential or what you've done or what you should be doing is a formation of those around you, whether it's influential, like, a mother, father, sister, brother, grandmother, close family member, or the conformations of society that say that you're supposed to be earning this much money, or that you're supposed to be in this type of job by this age and this stature of living. I don't know. Yeah. But who are you answering?
It's hard. Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard for me sometimes because I'll go in these multi-million-dollar mansions during the day, and for some of the technology stuff, we have to ask their date of birth, and they're like 10 years younger than I am, and they own this huge mansion. That's a little bit of a gut punch, a little bit, but like I said, then I go back and I remind myself of all these other good things that I've got. So, they've got that, but I've got what I've got, and that's okay. And so, that's... You got to kind of remind yourself, like you said, we're all a work in progress.
Yeah.
Where we are today isn't where we have to be tomorrow. If you really want those things, try and piece out where you need to go to get there and turn your guilt into action.
Yeah.
Transform it.
Or a plan.
Yeah.
The plan of action, for sure. Yeah. I have the same things that you just described where, I was working in corporate America. I had a really good job, and if I had stayed on that track, I probably would be making twice as much as I'm making now. but I would not be happy. I would have been miserable making a lot of money that I wouldn't really enjoy, because, you know, and there are times where I think about it and say, man, it would be nice if I were still on that kind of track to be able to get a raise every year, and performance bonuses and that kind of stuff. But there's so many other things that I get out of working in an entrepreneurial space. And, you know, it's the trade-offs that you make. It's the choices that you make for your life. But it's this, you know, you have these guilt factors. Like, I described this at the top of the show. I'm going to meet these people, relatives that I don't know, and they don't know me. And I am a little nervous about trying to explain to them what I do for a living, because I don't know what kind of people they are. I don't know what kind of judgments they have. I shouldn't care, because I don't know them from Adam.
Yeah, well, that's when it comes to that, that's when you own it. Like, you double down on it. You can, because, you know, well, like when I was working in the retail spaces and they would say, "Oh, you play World of Warcraft? Oh, you've got a," I was like, "Heck yeah, I do. Let me tell you about it." Like, you come over excited and you override their kind of that for me, it's like, yeah, it's like combating their skepticism with enthusiasm.
Yeah.
With like, "Oh yeah, it's awesome. Let me tell you about it. You know what's awesome about it? It's this and that." It's like, "Oh yeah, I got a podcast. It's Dear Addy for online. We help people, and our whole community helps each other. It's wonderful." Like, you override it with enthusiasm and, you know, kind of combat that, even if they don't have that kind of preconceptions.
Right.
You still feel it on the inside. You have that, like, apprehension of, like, "Oh, they might think this. They might think that I live in a basement somewhere," or and talk about all, you know, the whole stereotypes. And that's when you combat it with the enthusiasm and just the, like, you're like, "Yeah, I help run a multi-thousand member guild. I help coordinate event. I'm an event planner for an online company. An entrepreneurial. You know, I'm helping with this book that's coming out." You know, if you phrase it in those ways, you know, it transforms it from this idea of like, "Oh, I do stuff on the internet," to I'm blazing my own trail.
Yeah.
You know, two roads diverged in a wood, and which one did I choose? I chose the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
I love Robert.
That's what you're doing, Jules, and be damn proud of it, because I'm damn proud of you.
Well, thank you. I mean, you know, the major gut punch moment that I have anytime someone asks me that question, the gut punch moment comes when that person says to me, "You get paid to do that?"
Heck yeah.
And then I smile and I go, "Hell yeah, I do." And then they look at me and they're just like, and if it's not a nicer person, they'll usually just kind of sneer in jealousy. You know, it's this kind of look like,
well, you can't help that.
No. And so, you know, I'm proud of what I do. I'm happy to be able to say, I mean, my response to that is, yeah, I do. I'm damn lucky, you know, but I also want to say to them, do you know how hard I worked to get to this point? Do you know how many hours I worked a regular job and then did this job too? Like, you know, it's just one of those things where you're just like, you know, people have their little judgments. We've digressed a little bit, but, you know, obviously we're talking about this specific level of guilt for yourself. That's something that you did or doing to yourself. You're inflicting this upon yourself, that you need to figure out how to avoid committing the same act in the future, setting a plan. I want to talk very briefly before we move on about the other types of guilt and how to work through them. Number 2, the guilt for something that you didn't do but want to. This is the thing about thinking about doing something illegal or immoral or something like that, and you feel guilty because you had those thoughts. And the way to work with this is that you recognize that you do have the thoughts. They're there. You can say, yes, I do have them. Accept them as part of who you are right there, and commit yourself to changing the behavior so you don't follow through on it. Rather than shove them under the surface, you can embrace your illicit thoughts and desires and work on reducing them through conscious effort. So like if you're, you know, the example I used earlier, if you are thinking about straying outside of your relationship, say, and then feeling guilty about thinking about that, well, acknowledge the fact that you are thinking about it and be real about it. And to say, you know what am I going to do about this? I'm having these thoughts. What am I going to do?
Well, and it kind of reminds me, we talked ages ago about L'appel du vide. You remember that?
Yes.
The call of the void.
The call of the void, suicidal ideation.
Yeah, that kind of thought. Your brain is an amazing instrument. It is the pinnacle of evolution of everything in the world. It's the pinnacle of what we have on this planet. And it does some weird stuff.
Yeah, then just to re-summarize that super quick so it doesn't sound like we're talking about someone, wanting to... It's like when you're driving down the road and your brain all of a sudden thinks about the huge, like, dirt, like that ditch out there, and you think about what it would be like if you swung your car that way and just fell off the bridge. Like that kind of thing. It's that...
just those weird thoughts. Of like, I could totally... Like, if you're at the edge of a building, you're like... And you start to feel that pull towards the edge or something. You're like thinking, it just comes in your brain like, man, what would happen? What if I just jumped off?
Yeah.
How long would I have? What would I think and say and do? Would I just scream or what? Oh, wow, that's a weird thought. Why'd I think that?
That's an older show. We did that probably 4 years ago. Yeah.
Shows you how much it sticks in my brain.
Yeah. No, I
whenever
think
I
about
have those
them
thoughts,
too.
I think about it.
Yeah. Because it is normal and it is something that, and that feeling of, oh my God, why would I think that? Well, hey, I'm thinking it because I'm trying to imagine that. It's called L'appel du vide. Let me find that because I'm going to link it to the chat room.
Here, I found it earlier because it crossed my mind when we were at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
So there's an article about it.
There you go. Okay, so Marconin linked that to
It's not the next expansion. It's not the next expansion for WoW is not the Call of the Void. I don't think, but that's what it's called.
No,
would it be awesome?
For podcast listeners, it's spelled L'Appel L'appel DUVIDE. It's French. L'appel du vide.
L'appel du vide. Not sous vide.
Yeah, not sous vide. We did a show about a letter relating to that years ago, so you can dig that one up. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. So,
but it just reminded me that because when you have these thoughts, you can have the thoughts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're in your brain, but they're just in your brain. The action is where the difference comes. I mean, you shouldn't feel guilty for something you thought so long as the action doesn't follow. Yeah. Because people have those thoughts and just accept the fact that you do have those thoughts. Mm-hmm. But they don't have to go any farther than that.
It's when you're thinking about acting on the thoughts that are like illegal, illicit, immoral. That's when you need to worry about that guilt.
Yeah, like when you're in the grocery store or a gas station, there's a cop there, and I was like, man, I could totally just grab his gun. Like, it's not even clipped. I could just grab from the holster. But then I'm like, what would I do?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, I don't know how this gun works. Is there safety on? And then, I'm handcuffed already. I didn't even have time to react. See, that's the point. Like, you can think the thought, but as long as you don't follow through with it, then you won't get arrested.
Yeah. And then you realize you watched too many action movies.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 3, the guilt for something you think you did. And this is thinking about if you think you did something wrong, like wishing that someone would have bad luck over something because you don't like them, and all of a sudden they have bad luck and you think that you've inflicted upon them. The treatment of this, or the dealing of this, is that before you start accusing yourself of wrongdoing, make sure that the wrongdoing actually took place. If you're distorting your recollection of events to make you seem more at fault than you are, it's time for a healthy dose of reality testing.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can make ourselves feel guilty that, we did something to someone when you didn't even do anything, but you've convinced yourself that it's your fault. And so that's where you have to kind of, check yourself in that respect. Number 4.
Yeah.
guilt that you didn't do enough to help someone. This is caregivers guilt, long-term care, that you didn't give them enough support. You can decide whether or not you want to continue to make the sacrifices needed to help these individuals. However, it's important to separate your desire to help from the guilt that you fear it's important to separate your desire to help from the guilt that you fear will overwhelm you if you don't. Acting out of guilt can only drain you further and ultimately make you a less effective helper.
It can lead to resentment too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, most definitely. So that's something that you need to think about. It's going to be a balancing act for sure. Support groups for sure. Like, yes, you need to get support when you're in that situation, especially long term.
Absolutely.
And then finally, number 5, guilt that you're doing better than someone else. This is where survivor's guilt comes in for that as well. So the handling this, the only way to cure yourself of survivor's guilt is to remind yourself of how proud, glad, invested those who love and care about you are. So if you're someone who is like bettering yourself, but you feel guilty for everybody that you've left behind, that's there. Remind yourself, as hard as it might be, that your own failure, if you were to sabotage this, would not help bring someone back to life, or would it make someone love you better or feel better about themselves. So yeah, survivor's guilt is tough. It's really tough. And those that are still here after someone is lost, someone is gone, feeling badly that you can't live your life because of that they're no longer here, only hurts you. It doesn't help you at all.
Yeah. And that does relate back to last week's show. I believe about her mom kind of having this guilt that, he's not around anymore, but she is. And it's just trying to remind yourself that, in this way you have been given a gift. You've been shown as right there in your face, plain as day, that life is temporary and it's precious.
Yes. And
I mean, it's a gift that's given to you every day you wake up. And it's so easy to forget that.
Oh, for sure.
But it's also the reminder that it is this way is also a gift. It reminds you to take the time to enjoy your life and enjoy the people in it.
Exactly.
Because they may not be here tomorrow. And
exactly.
It's so easy to forget it. You get caught up in your day to day.
Yes. And so those are the 5 types of guilt that I came up with, found online, thanks to Psychology Today. It was a very interesting article. It was something that really got me thinking, and I thought I'd share that with you guys as well. Anything else that you'd like to add to this conversation before we call it good?
No, I think we're pretty good there.
Awesome. If you guys have some thoughts about this discussion topic, you want to share your stories about guilt, your thoughts about the discussion that we had, you can do so sending your email to questions@taurentthinktank.com. You can also jump into our Discord because we have nice conversations that happen in there too. tinyurl.com/tttchat2. That's the quick link to get to the Discord. And once you're in, you're in. So you just have to get there to get into the actual Discord server that we have for us. And you can always send us a tweet too at Tauren Think Tank on Twitter. All right. That was good. That was a good discussion. I like that one.
Yeah, that was good.
So we're gonna lighten things up a little bit, like we always do, with a little tell us one thing, and let's do that right now.
We read your submissions because reading your mind would just be creepy.
So, question 1, based off of Marconin's Arkansas Comic-Con trip, who is the most memorable celebrity you've ever met?
This is a tough one because I tried to remember all the memorable ones that not tons, but of course every BlizzCon you meet a couple of people. At Nerdtacular I met Chris. I got to actually meet Chris Metzen, which is better than BlizzCon because there's not tons of people around him, which was great.
He's great.
Man, I'm trying to think most memorable because there's, I tried to think about this at work today, trying to just jog my brain and trying to remember who all. And I guess, well, one of the more memorable ones, it was kind of split up. I went to a convention when I was a freshman in high school. I went to a Star Trek convention here in Little Rock, and I got to meet John Delancey, who plays Q. And it was not as much just meeting him and getting an autograph, but to paint the picture, he was doing a panel, and it was like a 2-level convention center, and the lower level had the kind of the floor where there's all the chairs and there's the stage and everything, and then above it and around it was all the vendors and all the other parts of it. And so I'm up against the railing overlooking the stage, and I've got my Star Trek First Contact shirt on, and I've got my Type 2 phaser clipped to my pocket, and a tricorder in the other one. Full on nerd mini-me Trekkie going on. Like, so much. And I'm listening to him, and then I like try to get something out of my pocket, and the phaser gets unclipped from my pocket and clacks and he's pausing between sentences, and it clacks loudly on the floor, like bam, 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 and it like fills the whole thing, and he looks up at me. Like Q looks directly at me. A little like 12, 13-year-old me, and I'm frozen with fear. Because one snap away, and I'm out of existence. So it was this huge moment of embarrassment. But I did end up getting his autograph and all that stuff. And my uncle, who is also a Trekkie, is in the chat room, and he said that he met Delancey and he was kind of a jerk. I've heard that too. But that's what made it most memorable for me. Also, getting to meet Russell Brower the first time at BlizzCon that I went, and talking music with him, and talking about, because that's when Warlords was about to come out, and he was telling me about the recording sessions and everything. We had a really nice long chat. Other than those two are probably the most memorable ones that I've had. Yeah. Also met William Shatner, but I didn't get any autographs or anything because he was at another convention once. What about you?
So I
should have said you.
Please. I would have smacked you. I'm not a celebrity. What are you talking about? The most, so thanks for the heart. So my uncle is he's an actor, and he's been in a number of different Broadway shows over the years that I was able to go to. And this isn't like a huge name, but I thought it was really cool to actually get to meet her because he was in the show with her. Kathy Rigby, who was the lady who did the Peter Pan, the live TV one with the flying and and she was in the show with my uncle. And so I got a chance to actually meet her. She was like super nice. I don't even know where the picture is, but I have a picture with her, and it was in my uncle and my friend, and it was just like, it was very cool. So that was super neat. And the most random one was another show that my uncle had done. If anyone has seen Grease 2, and this is number 2, Grease 2.
Sequel.
The guy who plays Johnny, Adrian Zmed, he did a show with my uncle, and I got a chance to meet that dude, and he was just kind of like sitting in his backstage, like totally chill. And I'm like, and I was a huge fan of Grease 2. No, Tony, he wasn't in Grease 2. He was in a show with this guy. I was such a huge fan of Grease 2, and it's such a terrible, terrible movie. And I was so geeked out with the fact that it was Johnny sitting right there. He was such a B actor, but it was really kind of funny. So, yeah. And if you've ever seen Grease 2, it's got Michelle Pfeiffer in it, and she sings, and yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad, but I was young and I loved it.
That's kind of like me. I love the Mario Brothers movie, even though I knew it totally wasn't Mario Brothers. It's awful. But I liked
Yes.
it back then because it was a video game movie.
Because it was a video game movie, even though it was absolutely terrible. What was that guy? It was the guy that was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit was Mario,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, he was Mario. And
Yeah.
apparently him and oh goodness, who played Luigi? Oh shoot, his name is, both their names are, well, anyway, apparently they were both drunk most of the time when they were filming because it was such a crappy production. Apparently, like nobody knew what they were doing, and they would just like take shots of whiskey.
Oh my god!
So they were tagged like during half of filming of that movie.
That's
John
great.
Leguizamo, thank you, Sparrow.
John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins, thank you. Yes.
I loved him in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That's such a good movie.
That is a great movie. I need to see that again. So we asked you guys who your most memorable celebrity you've ever met was, and GDS MGL says, my wife got to meet her favorite singer Josh Groban, and mine was meeting Gabriel Iglesias.
Did she come back after she met Josh Groban?
Apparently.
He's such a looker, man, and he's such a good singer. Whew.
Oh my gosh, he's amazing.
Handsome man.
That's a handsome man.
He is a handsome man. Zafira says the absolutely most memorable celebrity that I and my family has ever met was David Prowse. Yes, Darth Vader. My mom was so excited to see someone else that she almost bumped into him. She was very polite and said, and yes, I quote, "Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm here. What? I'm here to see her." Oh,
yeah,
no, wait.
She was
He
going
was-
towards someone else,
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
and
Oh,
he
that's
just
cool.
chuckled. She said,
Yeah, he just chuckled after that. Oh, that's awesome.
"That's really awesome." Mehmet says it was 1999-ish, and I was working for a major cell phone carrier. I got a call from Bonnie Blair Cruikshank, the speed skater, and her sponsor/agent. I set up for her a cell phone and plan. I offered to send her to the VIP support line for this, but she declined.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
At Loki the Tortured said probably Chris Angel. He was very kind, and the stuff he does is just ridiculous.
Catherine_E said, I met Davy Jones years ago after a show. He was really nice. I, of course, became a 12-year-old. Now that he's passed, so glad that it happened.
Absolutely. And let's see. At PK Geek Dad says, literally bumped into Jerry Stiller going into a restaurant in Cape Cod. And I sold Kevin Nealon some cell phone accessories one summer in New Hampshire. That's cool.
Kendra H says, a celebrity I met Oxhorn at BlizzCon 2012, and he and his wife are super nice and down to earth. Last WonderCon, I was able to meet Mercedes Lackey and her husband Larry Dixon, which was a bucket list item as I have been co-president of her fan club since May 2000, and they knew who I was. This was amazing and made me feel like a celebrity. And finally, at the same WonderCon, I ran into Will Wheaton. He was super sweet and kind enough to have a short chat with me.
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton.
That's cool. Havareth A says, DragonCon 2005. I shared an elevator with Sam Raimi. Very cool.
At BlizzCon a couple years ago, I was just hanging out in an elevator, and Mike Morheim steps into the same elevator that I was in at the Hilton because we were getting ready for the party, and bringing up stuff, and where he's just like, "Hey, how's it going?" We're like, "Hey, how's it going?" It's just this weird, like, "Hi, it's Mike Morheim."
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike, how's it going? And Sparrow Cosplay says, the most memorable celebrity, Patrick Stewart. It was at a convention, and I barely made it into the queue for pictures. When it was my turn, and they moved quickly, I walked up to him, shaking, and stammered out, "I've wanted to meet you my whole life." He smiled, held his arms out wide, and jovially exclaimed, "Well, now you have." He sounds like he's so fun.
Well, now you have. That is awesome. Yeah, I'd like to meet him someday too.
Yeah, he sounds like an amazing dude.
Yeah. And let's see, in the chat room, Draven Dresden says, I ran into one of the Wu-Tang Clan once in a CD store. How appropriate. You want to get something signed, you wouldn't have to go very far. You're like, here's your album. That's cool.
That's awesome. Sparrow said she also met Felicia Day. Laylee said she met Katy Perry by accident when she came to see the show I was working at in Vegas. She was sneaking in right before the show with her entourage.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Okay, so then there's question number 2. And I just thought of this one. I thought it would be kind of a fun discussion. What is the coolest prize that you've ever won in a contest, raffle, or drawing?
Oh, goodness. See, I can't really think of one. I know. Well, the only one that pops up to my mind that I won in a contest was in marching band back in the day. We had something called a drill down, and they would make the freshmen do a drill down, and that was where you all got in a block formation on the field. It usually was after like it was like the Friday night of our week-long preschool, pre-marching band camp.
Yeah.
And they would call out drill instructions, like march or, left turn, right flank, about face, and all this stuff. And you had to follow your orders. And if you messed up, you were out. And then they would reset, shrink the block, and they'd go do all this other stuff. And it was, it's this process of elimination.
Yeah.
And it got down to me and one other guy. And it was like, the tempo was going fast. We were marching and, really, really fast and doing all these turns and everything. And we both screwed up at the same time.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We both did the same thing, but it was wrong because it was like, I think it was like a left flank, but we did a left face. And a left flank is when you're still facing the same direction, but your lower body turns to the left.
Okay.
And then a left face is your whole body goes to the left. And we both screwed up because we didn't hear it right, or he messed up the call or something. And I won a movie. I won 2 free tickets to the movie theater.
Oh, that's cool.
And I used that to go see Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
You remember what movie you saw? That's awesome.
I did. Yes, it was a movie for the ages. One that I think is in the Library of Congress for greatest film ever. It wasn't bad. It was weird. I didn't really like it that much. It's weird. It's not, but it was free, and I was like, okay, I'll go see it. So
that's awesome.
that's the one that comes to mind is that one. I haven't won the lottery yet, sadly, but
yeah,
maybe.
Sad.
What about you?
So, when I was younger, I remember going to this event where, and chat room will correct me. I think it's called a Chinese auction. I think that's what it is. The thing that you do is you buy a bunch of raffle tickets, like the little, like you buy a number of raffle tickets that you put in these little bags of things that you want to try to buy. And so you can like give yourself more drawings for certain things depending on how many tickets you buy. I think that's what it's called. And so I wound up participating in this, and one of the prizes was a TV, a little desk color television. And and I was a teenager, I think, at the time. And so I really, really wanted that TV because, man, I wanted a TV in my room so bad. And my parents weren't going to get me one. So it's just like, and so of course they do the thing where they draw the prizes, and they draw the biggest prizes at the end. And when they got to the television, they called my number, and there was a lot of people there, and they called my number, and I was like the most, I don't think I had ever been that excited in my entire life. Like, I can't believe I won this thing, and I won a television, and I got to have it in my room. So it was awesome. And
oh, that is cool.
So yeah, that was awesome. That was one of the best prizes I ever won. The other thing that was really cool that I won is that I actually won the very first Nerdtacular that I went to, and I still use it to this day. I won a 50 gig Dropbox from Nerdtacular. Ooh. And it was like a free membership to get 50 gigs of Dropbox. And that thing has gotten me through all of the, I mean, I've been using it since I started podcasting. And, it's just like, I'm so happy to have it. Like, it's just the most amazing thing. Yeah, it was one of their bigger prizes. I happened to win it. So it was just like, yeah, that's great. So, we asked you guys what you thought. Your coolest prize won. Zafira said, I do not enter many, but when I do, it's usually for concert tickets. Years ago, a local radio station had their top 8 at 8. All you needed to do was be the 8th caller, know all the songs and the artists. I wrote everything down, and I won Pat Benatar and Styx tickets. It was epic.
Oh, that's awesome.
I remember those. I remember like you'd have to call in and give them. First you have to like listen the entire time, and then you'd have to get through when the line is beep 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 every time. That's not easy to do. That's awesome.
That is so cool. Bim says the first. My fault. Take two.
Take two.
Bim says my first solid state drive was from a DVS gaming giveaway.
Oh wow.
That's cool.
That is cool.
I love solid state drives.
It sounds state drives. Catherine_E. Not really cool, but a month free rent for apartment balcony decoration contest. I turned my balcony into a fireplace scene with a fake fireplace. That's super cool.
Ooh. Hey, a month of free rent is awesome.
Hell yeah, it is. Like, you could take that money and be like, I don't have to pay bills for this month. I can go spend it on something else.
Kendra H says, I've been lucky enough to win several cool things in raffles. I won a little nano iPod, a copy of Elantris, which inspired my love of Brandon Sanderson, and a Deathy Murloc.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
You need to like give me lottery numbers, Kendra. I need some help.
Get some lottery numbers from Marconin.
Help me, please.
And finally, Tiber says, I'm not trying to butter you guys up, but the well-played breakfast in 2015 I won from the WoW Challenges contest has been my coolest prize.
That
was awesome. And if you guys didn't know, like on our Kickstarter, WoW Challenges, Stone bought the tier with the breakfast, and he did a drawing for giving away the spot at breakfast with, it was me and Marconin and Pat and Darius and a bunch of different people, and then all of the people who backed that tier, and Tiber got to come with us, and we had a really good time. It was a really good breakfast, even though we had to wait forever for it. It was really good.
It was. Yeah, there was a bit of a wait, but it was really good breakfast.
Really
I still remember it.
I know.
It's memorable if you remember it like almost 2 years later.
2 years later.
Ugh.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm hungry.
I know you probably haven't eaten dinner, have you?
No, but that's okay.
We're almost done.
Yeah. Well, we do have one in the chat room. My uncle, he says that I want a ticket to see Rush in the 80s.
Oh wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no kidding.
Especially with Ready Player One coming up and James Halliday's love of Rush.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's gonna be awesome. Yeah, no kidding. So I can't wait for that movie. I hope it's really good.
Oh, I hope so too.
Marconin's like, yeah.
I am very cautiously optimistic, and I'm going to accept that it's not going to be the book, and hope it's a good movie. Just let it be a good movie. That's all I care is just be a good movie. Exactly.
And that, my friends, is Tell Us One Thing. You guys can do your additions to Tell Us One Thing through Twitter, Facebook, and Discord. Again, to get to Discord, if you aren't already on the Discord server, why aren't you there? We're there too. It's tinyurl.com/tttchat2. And of course, Facebook.com/TaurenThinkTank. Twitter is @TaurenThinkTank. And we won't have it next week because we will have guests. So there will be no Tell Us One Thing until we do a regular show the following week. But I think you guys will live.
Yeah, you'll be all right. It'll be a good enough show next week.
It'll be good. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. And that, Marconin, is a show.
Well,
on a
Sakes
Wednesday.
Alive. It's a hump day show.
One day
early.
One day early.
You guys are getting, one day early. You get your triple T 1 day early this week.
Bonus.
It's the mid-September special. Hot off the presses. Ink's not even dry.
Neither is the audio. Audio might be a little hot. Who knows? So yeah, we're gonna be back on Thursday with our guests next week. Marconin here is your reminder that I need an overlay. Please.
If you can send me the info, I will start working on that.
Yes, I will. And so, yes, we will be back next week with some guests. We hope that you will join us. And if you have questions or anything that you would like to speak to Dr. Holiday, Dr. Shirley, and Kelly about, you can send that to questions@taurentthinktank.com. That's our email address. That's the best way to reach us with lengthier stuff. But if you need anything in Discord, you can do that. You can also find us there on Twitter and Facebook, like I mentioned. Anything that you need to or want to pimp out, talk about before we go?
Not really. Nothing really going on at the moment for the next week.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I might be on Azeroth Roundtable this weekend. Maybe. I have to verify it. I have to make sure I can make it. Try and find that out today.
Okay.
So maybe not. So just hang around for that. Maybe not. But other than that, not really anything else going on. You get to see my family this weekend, so that'll be good.
Nice. Me too.
Yeah.
It's like family weekend.
Woo woo.
I know. I may be on Convert to Raid tomorrow night. That is the plan. So we'll see. And yes, I will be recording it from New Jersey, which means, yes, that I am bringing podcast gear with me on this trip. But yes, that's the plan, is hopefully everything will work out so I can be on the show. And we'll be back. I'll be back on Monday afternoon and from the travels. But, we'll be back doing our normal show like we do on Thursday. And with that, I think we'll bring this show to a close like we always do, just like this. Tauren Think Tank is a proud member of the Signals Media All-Star Network. Find out more about the other great shows in the network by going to signalsmedia.com.
Portions of the music and sound effects heard on this show can be found at incompetech.com and freesound.org. You can find us outside of the show on our website, taurentthinktank.com, which has all of our podcasts and information on how to get in touch with us, too. Did you know you want some Triple T sweet old merchandise? Yes, you do, because I just told you. Do you want to know where to find it? I'll tell you. You just go to taurentthinktank.com/store, grab yourself a t-shirt while you're there, maybe a nice mug or a phone case. Some other stuff going to be up there, too.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Thank you to all who support our show via Patreon. We've got some brand new patrons out there that we've been thanking on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. And if you would like to support Triple T, help us out, you can do so at patreon.com/TaurenThinkTank. There is also ways for you to meet other members of the Triple T community on a 24-hour basis. That is our Discord server, like I've mentioned before on the show. The quick way to get there is tinyurl.com/TTTchat2.
You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/TaurenThinkTank. You can find us at 140 characters or less on Twitter at TaurenThinkTank for the show, at JulesRPG for Jules, and at Marconin WoW for Marconin, who is me. Who's I?
Who is him? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, chat room, for being with us tonight, being so engaging and fun, hanging out with us every Thursday night, normally at 8 o'clock Central Daylight Time. You can find us at the video stream, which is twitch.tv/TaurenThinkTank when we're live, but we'd love seeing you. We're here with us however you can join us throughout the show. And, that's all I got. We'll be back next week with Dr. Shirley, Kelly, and Dr. Holiday. Super excited for that. Marconin, have a great week.
And you do the same. Enjoy New Jersey.
I will.
Enjoy your family and enjoy meeting new family and wowing them with your awesome what do you do for a livingness.
Should be really interesting. I might come home with really cool stories.
I know. Make sure Marsha gets on the train.
That's right. I gotta get out of here. For myself, for Marconin, for the entire chat room. Until next time, /moo, everybody.
/moo.
Tauren Think Tank. We make your problems less bad.
This podcast is a part of the Signals Media All-Star Network. For more information on this and other fine shows, go to signalsmedia.com. It's okay to stick our stuff in your ears. Really?
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 I don't have, I don't have a quick link to the Marcia story anywhere. I have to like go and get it like at some point and actually get the Marcia story from episode 10 of this show. If you are a long-time listener, you know the Marcia story. If you don't, I should bring it back out at some point because it was one of the funniest stories that I've ever told in the show.
Yeah, we could tack it on to the show in a couple of weeks. Our next like normal show.
Yeah. I should go dig that back up. I think it's in one of our best of mashups too. The Marcia story is like, it has been the people who have been listening to the show since the beginning know the Marcia story, but it's been it's been 5.5 years. So
if we designed a Marcia shirt, would you guys get one? I think I would.
Oh my God.
I had the
Get on the train, Marcia.
Yeah.
Oh God. Who here, just out of curiosity, in the chat room right now, who knows the Marcia story? Do you guys know the Marcia story? I'm just curious to know from who's here right now, who knows the Marcia story? Sparrow. It's not okay.
20, are you going to be at BlizzCon this year?
She is.
Couldn't remember. Oh, heck yeah.
She is coming.
Awesome. Yes. I couldn't remember if you were or not. Yes. Girl, you're going to get a big old
You remember
hug
it. Yeah. No, I mean, if you're familiar with what happened with that story, it's okay, Sparrow. Laylee doesn't know it. Okay. All right.
Well,
I'll make it a project. Yeah, I'll make it a project for myself for future, not the next show because we'll have guests, but a future show to bring that out and we can play it post show or something like that or have it available. It should be on my soundboard, Sage time. I think you were. That was one of the first. It was one of the first live shows that we had done too. We weren't even on camera at the time. Well, wait, no, that's not true. We didn't do. When did we start streaming the show? I can't remember. I can't remember what episode we started streaming the show because first we didn't have cameras. We just did the audio. And I can't even remember what episode we started streaming live. But we had the chat room so we could talk to the chat room. I guess it was maybe around that point. Your raid leading. That's awesome. Yeah. It's very good. Yeah, I know. It's and then you get into an interview and you've got to explain that for sure.
Yeah.
The actual thing. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's good. I like that description.
I'm sorry. I'm still reminiscing about the Marcia thing and back in the day. Because it was just like, that's just so way back. I know it was episode 10, I think it was on. The mashup on that, though, is hilarious. Like when we used to do mashups in the early days when we had like milestone episodes, we would do mashups. Those were hard to cut. Oh my God.
Yeah.
They were so hard to cut.
Yeah. So was episode 100.
Yes, it was.
Jeez Louise. 23 minutes long was the entire 3-part production.
That was insane. Yeah, that was insane. Hi, Drathan. We didn't change time like just tonight because I'm traveling tomorrow to go see my parents. So we decided to do the show a day early, which is not normal. It's not normal.
Yeah. But we'll be back on the Thursday train next week.
Yes.
So what titles do we want to go with?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
There's the Self-Inflicted Discombobulation, or That's a Big Twinkie.
I can fit that Self-Inflicted Discombobulation in there if you wanted to.
Supercalifragilistic Self-Inflicted Discombobulation. Oh wait, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious discombobulation.
Oh,
is
there
the
it
title
is!
for the show we're gonna go with tonight. It works. It works.
Well, I'm going to copy and paste it then.
Yeah. There we go.
Wait, do it again. Do it again.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious self-inflicted discombobulation is the title of the episode we're gonna tell the nations.
I love it. I love it.
If you want to know the title, here's some inclinations. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious self-inflicted discombobulation.
Oh my God. That was really good. That was really good, especially for being tired.
I know.
That's fantastic.
Speaking of which, chat room, here's another reminder. If you have any ideas for Christmas parody song ideas, go ahead and send those in. Because I'll take all the inspiration I can. Because we're going to try and start that work a little bit earlier this year and then not work on it, not get to BlizzCon and then like, oh yeah, we need to do a Christmas song. What are we going to do this year? Whoops.
We always seem to think about it when we're at BlizzCon. And speaking of which, I saw this earlier. Laylee, I think if you're still here, we haven't been recording an episode at BlizzCon for the last couple of years, and mainly it's because it's just too hectic for us, especially for me. My Friday at BlizzCon is pretty much eliminated from like 2:00 on, and because of the party, and then so I don't get to see. I get to see the opening ceremony and maybe one thing before I get to have to go and deal with that, the planning and the setup and everything, and then the party itself, and then so we had done shows at BlizzCon for a couple years, and it's just I'm so burnt out because then we've got to plan a show, and then we've got to it's just like I can't do it.
It's just a lot to do.
It's a lot to do, and I just So we decided that we weren't going to record a show at BlizzCon anymore because it just burns us out, and Go ahead.
And you've got plenty to listen to that week anyway.
Yeah,
all of the other shows are doing a huge BlizzCon recap, and I mean, there's not a whole lot we can add to the conversation that's not already going to be said because everybody else does, the rundown of the big reveals and what they think of the reveals. And of course, we always end up talking about that on the show anyway.
Yeah, but frankly, they do it better than we do anyway. So, that's their jobs.
And we've done a couple shows about, prepping for BlizzCon and what to bring and what to do if you've got anxiety about meeting people that you're, guildies you're meeting for the first time and all that stuff. We talked about that before. So, it's that kind of like. Plus, we're really busy when we get there, especially Jules. I know I'm usually running around with a chicken with my head cut off, getting to all the voice acting panels. So it's just, that's kind of like our one weekend where we were just like all cylinders firing all the time. I barely sleep during those 5 or 6 days.
So we, it's not that we don't want to record a show. Like it's just that it's our time. We have very little time to actually spend enjoying it ourselves as attendees. So, and with the other things that are going on, it was just like, okay, something's got to give. I will say that it's a very likely possibility that either one or two of us are going to be sick by the time we get back, or I will have no voice, which is typically what happens. And then we miss the show again, but we're going to try really hard this year to avoid that. I'm going to try and see if I can manage to keep my voice after BlizzCon. We'll see if that works.
Instead of screaming during the open ceremony, just like do jazz hands or something to express. I'm so excited at the new things.
It's not from screaming at the opening ceremony. It's from talking to people all day long. All day long, And so usually it's pretty much at 40% by the time we get to the party, and it's out the window at the end of the party. So, but it is what it is. So, I don't know if the AI. You know what though, Tiber? The instance will be recording an episode at Calm Before the Storm. Yeah, they're probably. I don't know. That's actually a really good question. If they're actually going to set anything up. I don't know. So,
we'll see.
But we're not going to worry about it.
Yeah. We'll definitely talk about it afterwards, but I did see that in the guild chat. Hello, Argus, my old friend.
Wow.
I did like that. That'd be cool if you could do the whole lyrics to that. That would be very, very cool to do.
It could. It wouldn't be a Christmas song, but it could be our Christmas present to you guys as a parody. We could, if we can't come up with a Christmas song that works as a parody, we can always do it as a Christmas present to you guys and any song we want.
Yeah. And if I could do the oh shoot, what's the name of the band that just covered The Sound of Silence? Oh shoot, because I like
recent
the song
cover?
they did. They're the ones that did that song. Shoot, what's the name of that?
Was it? It's not Disturbed, is it?
Yes, Disturbed.
Is it Disturbed? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, they did that. They did that version of The Sound of Silence, and if you haven't heard that, Jules, it's really good. Like
I've heard it.
fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Gave me
I'm
chills the
curious.
first time I heard it.
I'm curious. Can you guys hear this if I play it here? Let me try it. I'm just curious. Let me pull it up.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come
Can
to
you hear it,
talk
Marconin?
with you.
Okay,
Can't
they
hear
can hear it.
anything.
Yeah, so it's not on the. It has to be on the other computer.
Okay.
Vision softly creeping.
Yeah. Okay. My config is still new, and so yeah, you guys can hear that. Marconin can't hear that.
What is it?
It's The Sound of Silence by Disturbed. Hang on.
Yeah.
I'll do it in a place where you can't hear it. Hold on. If my mouse will work. Come on.
And I like the original too, but I just was not expecting it
Yeah.
first time I heard it. And it just slowly builds, and I'm like, yeah, I like this.
You should be able to hear this when it comes.
Again, because a vision softly creeping
Do you hear that?
left its scenes while I was.
Okay. I don't know why you're not hearing that, but oh well.
Maybe Skype being stupid.
Maybe Skype too. I had turned things down in there too. It's interesting. I'm just playing around with stuff. The chat room could hear it though.
Okay.
If I put it on the soundboard, you would hear it. So
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. I'll figure that out. Dun dun. Sweet. Awesome. I'm still.
Yeah, that's good.
We're still
That's a good point.
reconfiguring stuff,
Yeah.
but at least I know that you guys can hear stuff in the
Yeah.
chat room that way. Anyway, we're gonna get out of here. I might go clip that little end thing and put it on the end of the show. A little self-inflicted discombobulation thing, and just put that on the end of the show because I think it's funny.
20 clipped it. It's in the chat.
Yeah,
chat
I might
box.
clip the audio and just place it into the podcast.
There you go. This is why you should listen to the end.
This is why you listen to the show live. All right, lovely people. I did see you clipped it. Thank you. I pulled the audio right from the video and just clip out that way, so it'll be easy for me. You guys have a fabulous, fabulous week. We'll be back on Thursday. And be good to each other.
Mm-hmm. Have a fantastic weekend, folks. Enjoy, or fantastic rest of your week, because it's just halfway through the week.
I know. It's only Wednesday.
The week's almost over. The weekend is coming.
It's like, what today? What today? What today?
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys next Thursday. Have a wonderful weekend. /moo, everybody.
/moo, guys. Take care.
Bye.